In this video, we're going to go over the history of Stowe, Vermont, and how it came to be one of the most iconic skiing destinations in America. Deep in the heart of Vermont's Green Mountains lies a town that transformed from a remote wilderness outpost into a world-renowned resort destination. In 1763, when Royal Governor Benning Wentworth of New Hampshire granted the township charter to 64 proprietors, no one could have predicted that this rugged terrain would one day become known as the ski capital of the East. The town's first settler, Oliver Luce, arrived in March 1793 with his wife and two small daughters. In a testament to the challenging conditions early settlers faced, Luce had to leave most of their belongings at Waterbury Center and trek the final 6 miles through trackless forest, pulling a small hand sled loaded with only essential household items. By 1800, Stowe's population had grown to 816, with steady growth continuing for the next 50 years. The town's early economy centered on agriculture and logging, with over 75% of the land cleared for sheep farming. At its peak, up to 8,000 sheep grazed the hills and valleys of Stowe, transforming the landscape that would later prove perfect for skiing. The town supported numerous mills along the streams feeding the Little River, processing wool, lumber, and grain. The first hints of Stowe's future as a tourist destination emerged in the mid-1800s, when summer visitors began arriving to enjoy the mountain scenery. In 1850, local entrepreneur Stillman Churchill built the first resort hotel in town. Though Churchill eventually went bankrupt, his mortgage holder, William Henry Harrison Bingham, continued developing the mountain's potential. The Summit House atop Mount Mansfield was constructed just before the Civil War, followed by the Toll Road in 1870. That same year, the massive 300-room Mansfield House dominated the settlement, complete with a stable housing over 100 horses and equipment for visitors' carriages. Transportation developments played a crucial role in Stowe's growth. The arrival of the Mount Mansfield Electric Railroad in 1897 marked a pivotal moment in the town's evolution. This electric railway, running from Waterbury to Stowe Village, not only facilitated trade but also brought the first tourists to the region. The true transformation began in the 1920s, when Craig Burt, a local forester and landowner, organized Stowe's first winter carnival in 1921 to boost the town's economy during the cold months. But it was during the Great Depression that Stowe's destiny as a ski resort took shape. In 1933, the Civilian Conservation Corps arrived, establishing camps and beginning the work that would create Vermont's first purpose-built ski trail. Charlie Lord led a CCC crew in cutting what would become the Bruce Trail. The work was grueling. Each morning, the men hiked up in winter snows, using axes and crosscut saws to manually construct the trail. Their efforts paid off on February 1, 1934, when CCC worker Paul Barquin became the first person to ski down this pioneering trail. During the winter of 1934-35, the CCC cut the famous Nosedive Trail with its challenging 7 turns and constructed the stone hut near the summit, which still stands today as a testament to their craftsmanship. A pivotal moment came on December 10, 1936, when Sepp Ruschb arrived from Austria to establish Stowe's first ski school. Though that first season started with no snow and financial struggles, Ruschb's persistence and expertise would prove instrumental in establishing Stowe's reputation for excellence. During November of that year, a rope tow was constructed at the Toll House on a side hill of the former Darling Farm, marking the beginning of lift-served skiing at Stowe. The resort gained national attention in March 1938, when it hosted the national races, creating one of Vermont's 3 worst traffic jams in history. The event's success prompted Roland Palmetto, president of the Amateur Ski Club of New York, to raise funds for a chairlift. By June 4, 1940, construction began on what would become the world's longest and highest chairlift, the famous single chair that would serve skiers until 1986. The construction was remarkable, with shipfitters riveting the towers together using red-hot rivets rather than nuts and bolts. The resort's fortunes took another significant turn in 1943 when Cornelius Furter Starr, chairman of American International Group AIG, visited Stowe. After waiting 2 hours for a ride up the single chair, Starr offered to finance additional improvements. This began AIG's involvement with Stowe, leading to decades of steady development and expansion. By 1946, the 5 separate companies operating different aspects of the resort were consolidated under the Mount Mansfield Company, with Sepp Ruschb as president. The 1950s and 60s marked Stowe's golden age. In 1960, a double chair was added alongside the single chair, more than doubling uphill capacity. 8 years later, Charlie Lord's long-held dream was realized with the construction of a 4-person gondola up the shoulder of the mountain below the chin. The development of legendary trails like the Front 4, National, Liftline, Star, and Goat became famous for challenging even the most skilled skiers. Starting in 1949, the area across Vermont Route 108 known as Spruce Peak began development, envisioning a sunny, south-facing complement to Mount Mansfield's terrain. The 1954 installation of a double chairlift on Big Spruce made it North America's highest capacity lift at the time. By the 1980s, Stowe faced increasing competition from other Northeast ski areas. The resort responded with significant modernization efforts, including replacing the historic single chair with the Forerunner Quad in 1986, New England's first high-speed detachable quad chairlift. 5 years later, a new Poma gondola replaced the original, and substantial snowmaking improvements followed. The 2000s brought major changes to Spruce Peak, with extensive development of luxury accommodations and amenities. The $400 million Spruce Peak at Stowe project, Vermont's largest single development at the time, included the 312-room Stowe Mountain Lodge, which opened in 2008. These improvements were carefully balanced with environmental conservation efforts, protecting bear habitat and preserving historic CCC structures. The transformation of Stowe reflects both change and continuity. While modern amenities and infrastructure have replaced the rough accommodations of Ranch Camp's early skiing days, the town has maintained its historic character. The iconic Stowe Community Church steeple still defines the village skyline, while organizations like the Stowe Historical Society, founded in 1956, and the Helen Day Art Center, established in 1981, help preserve and enrich the community's cultural heritage. Stowe's evolution reflects the broader transformation of Vermont's mountain communities. Yet despite all the changes, visitors can still experience the same breathtaking views that drew the first tourists over 150 years ago, and locals still tell tales of the pioneering spirits who saw the potential in these snow-covered peaks. That's it for this week's Leisure Lore. And please do us a favor and subscribe to this channel if you enjoyed it. It means the world to us.